Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. In today's Warhammer Here We Go article, we got our first look at the new stat lines and weapon profiles which will be coming along with the next codex in line after the sisters, the Orks. And whilst we've seen loads of the amazing new models coming for the Orks and the Beast Snaggas, it is finally nice to put some rules to their faces and also see what is becoming of the humble Ork boy in the world of Two Wound Marines. And, well, let's be honest, they are getting a pretty significant buff. As you can see on your screen now, to go hand in hand with their whole fluff of being able to shrug off and ignore pretty much any wound and just keep on trucking, the Ork boy is now sporting a massively improved Toughness 5 on their profile. The rest has stayed the same, no extra armor or attacks or anything like that, but simply by bumping their toughness up to 5, that has made the boys an absolute nightmare for enemy firepower on the tabletop. The old reliable bolter, which used to just cut a bloody swathe through the green tide, is now only going to be wounding you on 5s, meaning a heck of a lot more of your boys are going to be reaching the enemy lines to hack them to pieces with their choppers. Now, I personally would have rather seen a feel no pain style mechanic on the boys, or an ignore wounds if we're going by 8th or 9th edition style mechanic on the boys, to show the fact that they just ignore things and ignore injuries as they get shot. But Toughness 5 is, I think, a decent way to do this. It's better than bumping them to 2 wounds. I think that would have been the worst option that Games Workshop could have done. So Toughness 5 is acceptable to me. It's not how I would have done it, but I am glad they have buffed them, and I'm glad that they didn't go the 2 wound route to do it. As mentioned before, the Beast Snagga boys are slightly bigger, beefier boys, and so in addition to that Toughness 5, they are also getting the very welcome Strength 5 base of an Ork Nob. And what that means is that the Beast Snagga boys have an incredibly powerful Strength and Toughness 5 on their profile, swinging with 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, and then wounding things like Marines on 3s as well. They are going to be absolutely terrifying when they get into combat. And in addition to that, they showed off another rule that the Beast Snaggas specifically have, which is, funnily enough, called Beast Snagga, and what that states is that any unit with this rule gains a 6-up invulnerable save, and in addition adds +1 to hit rolls against enemy vehicles or monsters. Now, the 6-up invuln alone is great on Orks, as any Death Skulls player will tell you. So many weapons in the game just flat out ignore Ork's 6-up armor save, so knowing that you will always at least have a small chance of avoiding that damage does make the invulnerable much more invaluable, I think, than it would be on perhaps, say, a Space Marine that can most of the time rely on some form of armor save. But the big benefit, the big beefiness in this rule is that +1 to hit. So now when your Beast Snaggas are jumping into fights or shooting at enemy monsters or tanks or whatever it may be, they are going to be hitting much more reliably. Ork boys, or should I say Ork Beast Snagga boys, hitting on 2s in combat against an enemy tank is going to really put a world of hurt on them with the number of attacks and the number of decent strength attacks they can chuck out. And on the topic of their damage output, the Orks' melee weapons have seen a bit of a change too. As I think we all expected, the humble Chopper gained the Astartes chainsword treatment, and in addition to granting an extra attack, now lets you swing at -1 AP, giving a really huge benefit to all those Ork boys charging in and swinging wildly into your armored opponents. Dropping something like a 3-up save Marine to a 4-up really does make a big difference in the number of wounds you can get through. Big Choppers have stayed the same as they currently are, bringing a Strength +2, -1 AP, 2 damage profile, which isn't bad. It lets your Ork Nob swing at Strength 7 and do 2 damage, which is pretty good, but I do think that, like they are at the moment, in general, they will be overshadowed on Nobs by Power Claws, which are just flat out better in every way. Or perhaps they will be overshadowed by this new entry we have, which is the new Chopper variant, the brilliantly named Huge Chopper. This is the thing that we saw on that new Mega Armored Nob, which was shown off at the Weekender a little while ago, and this bad boy lets him swing at +3 strength, -3 AP, and a flat 2 damage, pretty much turning your Nobs and your war bosses into power fist wielding forces of destruction. They will be swinging at strength 8, doing a flat 2 damage, and pushing 3 up saves back to a 6 up. So I would say that if this doesn't have the penalty to hit, like a Power Claw does, this actually may be something of a valid choice instead of the Power Claw. Yes, you lose the strength 10, but it is still a very solid strength 8, and then being able to hit at your full weapon skill instead of suffering the penalty to hit may make it worthwhile, unless you know you're going up against things like knights or lots of toughness 8 vehicles and monsters. We will have to wait and see how the points pan out, I suppose, but overall from what we've seen of these two stat lines, the little Beast Snaggas rule and the weapon changes, this looks like the start of some very welcome and decently powerful changes to the orcs in their upcoming codex. And I'll be honest with you, I can't wait to see what else the mech boys have been cooking up in their workshops. But what do you think of these changes? Are you a fan of Ork Boyz going to Toughness 5, or would you have preferred to have seen 2 wounds, or some kind of ignore wounds mechanic, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me. Until next time though, I will catch you later guys.